Hegel is considered one very abstract thinker. And two of his very famous books are Phenomenology of Spirit and the Philosophy of Right. Marx wrote a critique of Phenomenology of Right as a way of advancing his own theory. Here we are going to understand some of the concepts that Hegel introduced. What is this thing called spirit? Here I would like to introduce concepts which Indian philosophy is very much familiar with. For example, if we take an individual, we are familiar with person having a mind. Each one has a mind. And each one has consciousness. What is this consciousness? Consciousness is nothing but a sense of awareness, or it is awareness. It is me, self. Okay. Consciousness is equated with life. So we have mind, we have consciousness, sense of me. Okay. This consciousness is not the same thing as contents of consciousness. By contents, we mean what I am, are my fears, hopes, sorrow. All these are contents. Consciousness is simply a sense of me, but what I am is contents of consciousness. And mind, we equate mind with the software of the brain. If the brain is hardware, this is how we see normally. Okay, how brain is hardware and mind is software. So mind and consciousness, these two we are familiar with. Now, Indian philosophy also proposes that when man dies, his mind does not die. His mind doesn't die. His consciousness doesn't die. His consciousness doesn't die. His mind doesn't die. This is called spirit or soul. So body is conceived as physical plus spirit and soul or soul. And death means end of the body, but spirit and soul remain even after the death. So which means consciousness continues, even mind continues. That is what spirit and soul is. Okay. This is one. Next thing is, if this is about the individual, there are certain theoretical things about totality of the mankind. Mankind does not have one body, but it is assumed in some Hindu literature that mankind on the whole has one mind, also called collective mind. And also called sometimes collective consciousness. This is sometimes referred to as spirit, soul. Okay. Spirit with capital S, capital. Individual soul versus capital versus collective soul. Individual spirit versus collective spirit. So, it is assumed that mankind has collective consciousness. Mankind has collective consciousness. And that collective consciousness is being called spirit. Okay. So we have these words. Soul. It can also be called world soul. Spirit. Also called world spirit. World soul, world spirit. Okay. Referring to collective phenomena. Okay. I did work on these issues in detail in this book, Moksha, Afterlife and Science. Okay. My conclusions on this is that the book argues there is a soul, there is a spirit, that is individually. There is consciousness even after death. These are my conclusions. But These emerge from human body, body. It is just that they survive death. That is my conclusion. So there is nothing like world soul, world spirit, because there is nothing like world body. There is nothing like world body. There is nothing like world. Because it is from physical phenomena something is emerging, but it is surviving even the death of the body. That was my conclusion. Okay. Uh, in fact, in philosophy of Advaita, it is said that individual consciousness is a manifestation of world consciousness or collective consciousness. And individual consciousness should merge with collective consciousness, and that is nirvana. But I said there is nothing like collective consciousness because there is nothing like collective body. Okay. But now let us come to how Hegel uses the word spirit. Okay. How does Hegel use the word spirit? Hegel is using the word spirit to mean consciousness, which is collective. Okay. So to Hegel, spirit is collective consciousness. Okay. This spirit can sometimes be used as, can also be referred to as mind. So collective mind, collective spirit, it's the same thing. Okay. So that is why his book is sometimes translated as Phenomenology of Spirit and sometimes as Phenomenology of Mind. Okay. So why does he talk about this at all? When Hegel uses the word spirit, he may not mean that it originated from somewhere, and then it is there in each individual. Originated, and it is there in each individual. Okay. Because if it is said like this, then the problem arises. How can there be origination like this? So this can be questioned. But Hegel can mean without reference to any origination, simply sense of different individuals, a kind of sense of grouping. It's like simply it's like this. It is just that a family has a sense of we, a nation has a sense of we, a team, a football team has a sense of we. So Hegel may refer to that as collective consciousness, collective mind, and that as a spirit. Okay. Without referring to it originated somewhere, it is manifesting in others, in each individual. Okay. So this is sense of Venus, as opposed to sense of me. Okay. So I think we can take this to be Hegel's meaning and then read his work. Hegel wants to explain how this spirit is evolving, progressing. Okay. So he wants to explain how this collective consciousness is moving in a particular direction. Okay. Hegel takes the whole world and past, present, that is the entire time, and then see how the spirit is changing, becoming. Okay. So we will examine what Hegel thinks of changes in spirit, which he calls history.